You know, if you've ever scrolled through Instagram, checked WhatsApp, or binge-watched something on Netflix, then you've actually used a technology called React. It's a huge force on the modern web, and in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how it got to be so dominant. So, that brings us to the big question, right? Why? Why do all these massive companies and even tiny startups bet their entire online business on this one thing? What's the secret sauce here? What makes React the go-to choice for pretty much everything we use every single day? Well, the answer really starts here. Building for the modern web it's a beast. I mean, we expect our apps to be lightning fast and packed with cool features. At the same time, businesses need their sites to pop up right at the top of a Google search. Juggling all of that, it's a massive technical challenge. And that right there, that's the exact problem React was built to solve.
And this gets us to what you could call the modern web's big dilemma. See, as we keep adding more cool stuff, more features and complexity to our websites, something starts to go wrong, kind of behind the scenes.
And for a developer, this is what it looks like. When you first start building a site, the code's pretty simple. But then you add a user login, then a shopping cart, then a live chat, and before you know it, it's just this tangled, messy web of what we call spaghetti code. Every new part is tangled up with every other part, so changing one tiny thing can break 5 other things you didn't even touch. It makes updates slow, super expensive, and honestly, it's a total nightmare. So how in the world does React untangle this mess? Well, it introduces this brilliantly efficient way of thinking about building things. Instead of one giant, interconnected web, it gets developers to think in much smaller, independent pieces. It does this with something called reusable components. And they're pretty much exactly what they sound like. They're like digital Lego bricks. A developer can build a little search bar brick one time, and then they can just reuse that same exact brick on the homepage, on the products page, literally anywhere they need it. This is an absolute game changer. Development is way faster, it's more consistent, and hey, if you need to fix the search bar, you just fix that one brick, not the whole wall. Okay, so fixing the code structure is a huge deal, but it's only half the battle. The next big problem is all about speed, about performance. In the old way of doing things, when you change something on a page, even something tiny like a like counter going up, the web browser has to do a ton of work. It is so inefficient. It really is like tearing down and rebuilding an entire wall just to change the color of one single brick. That sluggish feeling you sometimes get on complex websites, this is often why.
And React's solution to this is honestly, it's just pure genius. It's called the virtual DOM. Okay, so every web page has a structure called the DOM. You could think of that as the official, really heavy blueprint for the page. What React does is it creates a virtual, super lightweight copy of that blueprint that it just keeps in memory. So instead of messing with the slow, real page, React does all its work on this speedy little copy first. And the process is just incredibly efficient. Here's how it works. A user clicks something. Bam. React instantly updates its virtual blueprint. Then it does a quick comparison between its blueprint and the real page to find the one and only thing that's different. And finally, it performs this tiny, surgical update to just that one spot on the real page. It never rebuilds the whole wall. It just swaps out that one brick. And that's why React apps feel so incredibly fast and responsive.
Okay, so let's recap. React makes life easier for developers, and it makes apps feel faster for us, the users. But there is another piece of this puzzle that is absolutely critical for any business: getting found by Google. I mean, let's be real. If Google can't see your page, you might as well be invisible.
And this is where you see a huge difference. On the left, you've got the old way. A lot of complex apps would just show up as a blank page to search engines while all the content was loading. For your search ranking, that's a disaster. But on the right, you have React's solution, a technique called server-side rendering. This lets you build the whole page on the server before you even send it to the user. The result? The page loads instantly for people and, crucially, Google sees all the content right away. That can be a massive boost for your visibility.
But this whole philosophy of efficiency, it doesn't just stop at websites. The same core ideas have been stretched to solve one of the biggest, most expensive headaches in the entire tech world: building mobile apps.
Think about it. Traditionally, if you wanted an app on both iPhones and Android phones, you had to build it twice. That means 2 different teams, 2 separate code bases. It's double the work, double the cost. It's a huge pain. But then comes React Native. It lets developers write their app's logic just one time and then deploy it as a true native-feeling app on both platforms. For any business, this is a massive, massive win. It saves just an enormous amount of time and money.
All right, so we've covered the smart architecture, the blazing fast performance, and the fact that it works on mobile apps too. But there's one final piece that really cements React's place at the top. And that's all the tools and the community that support the developers using it. See, a technology is only as good as its ecosystem, and React's is just enormous. If a developer gets stuck, there's a huge community on places like Stack Overflow ready to help. There are amazing developer tools that make finding and fixing bugs way easier. For really complex apps that have a ton of data changing all the time, there are other tools like Redux that step in to manage all that chaos. And maybe the best part? For anyone who already knows basic HTML and JavaScript, the learning curve is pretty gentle, making it accessible to millions of developers out there.
So, when you boil it all down, React's dominance isn't just some passing trend. It's about creating this incredible win-win-win situation. Developers get a smarter, more efficient way to build things. We, the users, get faster and more responsive apps. And businesses, they get a product that's easier to maintain and way more visible to the entire world.
Look, there's just no question about it. React fundamentally changed the game. It raised the bar for what we expect from the web in terms of speed, complexity, and just sheer efficiency. It basically solved all the biggest headaches of the last decade. So that just leaves us with one final, fascinating question to think about. What new problems will it solve? And what will it help us build next?